What should I say? If you like these videos, click like or subscribe. Yes. Yes. If you want to become a patron, go to patreon.com/Will Franken. Yes. Yes. 11th December, one-man show, Leicester Square Theatre Lounge, 8:30 p.m., 11th December. Yes. Yes. Don't give me too much. I shan't remember it all. Yes. 28th November, screening of the William Blake documentary, Bedford Pub in Balham. Yes. No, I said that. Yes. 11th December, Leicester Square Theatre Lounge, one-man show, 8:30 p.m. Yes, yes. Yes. I'll try to remember it all. I can't guarantee. I'm a bit senile in my old age, but I'll do my best. I hope I won't forget it. I would like to do something different today in our lecture series because today is the American holiday of Thanksgiving. And I have been quite fascinated for a number of years by this holiday from our savage cousins from across the sea, the Americans, because my eldest daughter is American. She's never been, but she is an Americophile. She wears a poodle skirt and listens to Elvis Presley records and says things like,
"Hey, Pop, can I borrow another pound? The girls and I are going to go to the drugstore after school and get an ice cream float."
So I do what I can to indulge her. She also likes guns. As a matter of fact, one night I was awoken very brusquely at 3 a.m. to find my daughter pointing a .44 Magnum at my head and inviting me in a rather raspy voice for a girl her age to make her day, which I proceeded to do by offering to purchase her an AK-47 for her 17th birthday. It's a new type of parenting called neglect. The philosophy is very simple. If you have children, just let them get on with it. That is, of course, if you can afford a governess, which I fortunately can. We have a lovely governess in our household. Her name is Lady Jane Grey. She's been with us for 12 days now, which is actually twice the amount of time that the original Jane Grey spent in her position as the ill-fated, shortest reigning queen in English history. So hopefully she'll stay with us a bit longer than that. Thanksgiving. What is it? Where does it come from? And what can we do to stop it? Once upon a time in this country and in various countries throughout Europe, there were people who felt for some reason or other that they could not practice their religion. Practice, as we know, makes perfect. And this is why today we tolerate Islam, because we know that if they keep practicing, eventually all of those explosions will be ironed out and it will be perfect. But once upon a time in this country, people were not free to practice their religion. And there were certain individuals who had had it up to here with religious persecution. Well, not quite up to here, that's more of a salute. They had it up to about here, or even here. Somewhere within this general region, either above or below the mouth, they had had it. And so for them, it was a bit like wading through a swimming pool that was filled with religious persecution, which is why many of these people moved slower than ordinary citizens. And of course, because they viewed this as religious persecution, and it being so close to their nose, it probably smelled quite ghastly to them. And so they felt compelled to leave. For most people, it didn't smell at all, because most people at the time didn't give a toss about religious persecution, and probably quite few do today. But somehow, these individuals were able to sort of wade their way to a harbour where they boarded a ship called the Mayflower. Now, why they called it the Mayflower is anyone's guess, because the holiday is celebrated in November, and very few flowers grow in November. But my theory is that on a long sea voyage, there's going to be quite a lot of dysentery. So if one is to clean up the effects of dysentery, it's probably quite nice to do so while you're thinking of flowers in May. That's just my two twopence on why they called it the Mayflower. Now, those were some of the actors in this drama of Thanksgiving. But there were also some people involved called Indians. And so to get more of a historical context into this holiday, I asked some Indians what they thought. And so I went down to Sainsbury's, where they all work, and I approached the man who does this and says that the next till is available. And I went up to him and I said, "Excuse me, you're an Indian. What can you tell us about this American holiday of Thanksgiving?" And he said, "I'm not Indian, I'm Pakistani. But the man working at the till that is now available, he's Indian. He's a right cunt and utter bastard. We fight all the time. But you can ask him. He's available." So I went to that man who was at the till and I said, "I've been informed that you're an Indian. What can you tell us about this American holiday of Thanksgiving?" And that man proceeded to tell me a tale that was so complex, especially given the length of the queue he was dealing with. So complex, rich and imaginative. He said that millions of years ago, in the heavens above America, there was a battle between Princess Guthufif, who was the Princess of Thankfulness, and the evil Sultan Gahenderhin, who was the Dark Prince of Ingratitude. And the two people, or deities, what have you, fought for thousands of years until eventually the Princess of Thankfulness was victorious, and thankfulness rained down upon the American plains like golden honeydew, which I believe is where they get the lyric for their song Amber Waves of Grain, and also the American name Amber, which is my daughter's name. Amber. Amber. Lovely name for a girl with an AK-47. Amber. Now, this is where my understanding of Thanksgiving begins and ends for me. So, to fill in the gaps, I've invited my son to come along, who has returned from his gap year. He is studying American culture at Cambridge, and I thought he could fill in some of the gaps, because he's back from a gap year. Do you like the gap thing? No. So, my son Brighton, who I named after the gayest city in England, because that's how cool of a dad I am, is here to tell us more about the American holiday of Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Dad. It's good to be back here in Kent. Hello, everybody. Yeah, well, I'm studying at Cambridge right now, and I've actually got some American friends. Dad, you know Lisa with the dreads, and Tim with the pipes.
Yes.
Yeah, so some of this is sort of shaped by their first-hand experiences as Americans and what the whole holiday of Thanksgiving actually means. What I'm going to start off with is that the original people who left Europe to come to this new world, it wasn't actually a world, but a country called America, were not at the time actually Americans. It was only when they got off the boat and onto the shore, and they looked around and saw that there wasn't any border security, that they said, you know what? We're citizens of this place called America. And that's kind of what I'm working on in my student work, as I'm involved very heavily with an organization called No Borders, No Laws, No Rules. There's two other things we say no to. I forget what those are, but I should have brought my thing with me. But it's No Borders, No Laws, No Rules, No something, no something. Look it up. Trying to return us to that place where, you know, because I just got back from gap year, as you know, Dad,
Yes.
and I went to Thailand because I wanted to study ladyboys, and I was so excited, and when I got off the plane, I was just about to enter the country, when all of a sudden I was stopped, and the guy said, where's your passport? And I had to do this. I was like, there it is. And we find, especially after Brexit, don't we, Dad?
Of course.
We find that no matter where you go, you're always doing this now. Where's your passport? Belgium, Estonia, it doesn't matter. Always with the passports now. And it's very hard for some people because I've got, as you know, Dad, carpal tunnel syndrome.
Yes.
Because I play guitar in a band called The Matrix with 2 X's because we want to distinguish ourselves from the film, even though we've got a song called Red Pill and my middle name is Neo. So maybe subconsciously something was happening, was like, you know, maybe that came into play when we decided to name it Matrix with 2 X's. But that's neither here nor there. I don't want to lose the plot because this is about Thanksgiving.
Of course.
So these people came to this place and said, we're citizens of America, which is all right. But here was the catch. There were already people living there. And these people, they weren't Indians, if I can correct you, Dad.
Of course.
They weren't Indians, so they weren't the people that work with the off licenses. they were more like Glastonbury.
Yes.
Right? And this, you can get a lot of this from Russell Brand's book. They were like Glastonbury, a lot of face paint, drum circles, it was very peaceful. They lived there for like thousands of years, just no conflict whatsoever. All the tribes got along. It was just a perfect utopian type peace. And they had been there for like thousands of years. They were there before the dinosaurs. If you read Richard Dawkins' book, they were actually there before the Big Bang. So all of civilization, all of existence comes to us from these people called Native Americans. That was the original name, Native Americans. And actually, the name America comes from the explorer Amerigo Vespucci. But if you read David Icke's new website, his first name is actually Nativio. Nativio Amerigo, which means the original name for America was Native America. And the people that lived there were Native Americans. And they all got along, and everything was peaceful. There was never any war, no conflict. It was all a perfect state of existence, right?
Yes.
But because they were so involved with their various crafts and face paintings, when those people from Europe came in and said, we're citizens here, they had totally forgot to build any kind of border security. Right? So there was no one on the other side when those Europeans came over. There was nobody saying, what brings you to Native America? How long do you plan on staying in Native America? Are you in Native America on business or holiday? There was none of that, right? And so what happened was the Europeans decided to punish them for not having a border and just basically took out every single Native American, one after the other, like, with just brutality, until there was only one Native American left, by the name of Squanto.
Yes.
Now, Squanto was kind of like the Jew in the concentration camps, right, who was like, Fritz, can I give you a $5 if you let me live? He was like that, and he thought that if he was nice, that the Europeans would eventually turn him white.
Of course.
And so he showed them where to get the best turkey and the cranberry sauce and all of that. And that's actually, in our university calendar, that's where we officially mark the beginning of white privilege, right? There had been white privilege before, but it was when Squanto became white that we officially mark the beginning of white privilege from that date. So the holiday, basically, in a nutshell, that people call Thanksgiving is actually White Privilege Day. And, and I know it's gonna rain on some people's parades, but you know what? You can't have flowers unless you got a little rain. It's Alanis Morissette or something like that. Anyway, so yeah, Dad, it's good to be back. Yeah.
Skeet shooting?
Skeet shooting. I don't think so. I'm here to protect the skeets.
Well done.